Hello, and welcome to a new video, new ASMR video. I wanted to try a new something out when I started this channel, which is just to play through a bunch of old nostalgic games that I grew up on. The first one would be, of course, one of my childhood classics, Ratchet Clank. I had a lot of fun playing this game growing up as a kid. It was one of the first PS2 games I remember actively spending a lot of time on, and just enjoying that. There's some artifacting on the side of the screen, because this is not the original PS2 version. I'll override that. That was just a test save. And here we are on the planet Felden, where Ratchet lives, the main character. And it feels weird playing this game on a completely legal system. I own the games myself. I own all of the classic Ratchet Clanks, but I can't play it on the PC. Nor can I record on a PS2 or PS3. So here we are, playing it on the PC itself. And there's the notorious Clank, from which the name Ratchet Clank comes from, in a weapon-making factory. I always thought it was, when I was a kid playing this game for the first time, seeing this cutscene, it was always insanely cool, because I never really played many. This was my first proper introduction into proper games, I guess. I used to play Sonic the Hedgehog and stuff on the Sega Mega Drive, but this was I think my first proper big PlayStation game. That and Crash Bandicoot and Sly Cooper. Also great games. I'm sure I'll play those soon eventually. And now we're back in the actual game. It's insane to think that this is from 2002, and it still looks good. There's this is Ratchet's little workstation. There's a post of a galactic hero, Captain Quark. Always a funny name. It feels weird going back to the original after so many years, of playing these later games. I've always been a big fan of the classics over the newer games, as is always the case, really. But there's a lot of reasons why I'll get into quite a bit. But I think the main thing is that it's just, I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels a lot more grounded. They don't take it too seriously in the originals. There's stakes, there's threats, but the later ones really do kind of lean towards the whole galactic hero kind of thing, which is fine. I don't have any issues with that, but it does get kind of samey after a while. I remember I played the remake of this game back in 2017, 2018. It was a weird one because it wasn't just a remake of the first game. It was also a tie-in to the movie that they were making, based on the first game. So it was weird. It was still a fun game, but they did a lot of changes that really put a sour taste in my mouth. So this game is if you're unfamiliar, this game is a platformer slash, I suppose, shoot 'em up, I would say. Third person shooter. Although this game, the first one, is definitely a platformer, first and foremost. The later games, especially the third one, and Gladiator or Deadlocked, they're definitely more third-person shooters than platformers. Well, they have platforming elements, but they kind of put it aside for the action. I still think 3 is my favourite. I do love the originals for their platforming. I thought I heard something there. I do love the originals for their platforming, but I think I grew up the most on 3. Personally, I think 2 is the best between platforming and action, and like shooting, but 3 is just my favourite one. 3 is definitely the best for me. And this is the main antagonist of the first game, Chairman Drek. One thing that the original games did well was be both quite a serious talk about actual real life issues while still keeping it goofy. Like, yes, this whole aspect of him just stealing parts from planets to form a new planet is quite outlandish, but when you find out the fact that he is the reason why his planet is kind of falling apart anyway, like he's the reason why his home planet is becoming polluted to the extreme, that they had to find a new house, that they had to find a new home. He makes a point at the end of the game, spoilers I suppose, that he started to pollute the planet so that he could get investments to create a new planet, and then he would do the exact same to the new planet, start polluting it, start making it become overpopulated, I suppose, and the cycle begins again and again. He's all in it just for the money, for the investments. It's pretty bad. And then the later games as well, like the originals rather, they kind of have the same motif. In the second one, it's about like a greedy CEO again. The third one kind of loses that and goes more in favour of a war story, like a parody of various war like stories. In fact, it has like one of the characters, like the president of the galaxy in Ratchet Clank 3 is just a carbon copy of Bill Clinton in terms of his voice. And then you got the spin-off, like Deadlocked or Gladiator, whichever one it was for you. That is about, it's basically Squid Game. It's kind of a mix of like Battle Royale Squid Game, because it's like contestants in an illegal gladiator battleground. And it talks about how the CEO of that like TV network just doesn't care. He's using everyone to sell their likeness in merchandise and just gain a lot of money. He doesn't care about who lives or dies. It's quite insane that the original Ratchet Clanks, which is so colourful and goofy and full of like crude humour, are just also critiques on capitalism. It's very weird. Especially when you consider that this is the company that made Spyro the Dragon beforehand, and then went on to make what did they make afterwards? They made Sunset Overdrive, Resistance, and more notably, they made the latest Spider-Man games on the PS4. And here we are on the second planet, or technically the first planet in planet order, Novalis. Quite a bustling, or once was a bustling, cityscape in the middle of a galactic invasion. So that's the main path down there, but like I said, it being a platformer, it's also a bit of a collectathon. You have bolts, nuts and bolts as your main currency, which you can use to buy ammo and weapons. And there's also other things, like there's gold bolts that you can get, which are basically just collectibles again. But growing up in the early 2000s, there was definitely a lot of games that had this kind of, that followed this kind of system of like platforming collectathons. And in this cave somewhere, there is a gold bolt, which when I find it, I'll collect it. You don't get anything for it, really. I think you just kind of... I'm not too sure, actually. I think you just get it for the sake of getting it. But if you were playing on the Ratchet Clank HD collection on the PS3, you would get an achievement. You'd get a trophy for collecting every single one in all of the main 3 Ratchet games. It should be, there it is, down there. But let's take these guys out first. Yeah, it's in here. And I never noticed it as a kid, because you don't really take your time to explore, but they even put down some bolts to kind of show that there's something there. And as the game progresses on, it becomes increasingly harder to find all of the gold bolts. I remember what the gold bolts are for now, yeah. Essentially, there's quite a few weapons in this game to collect. There's about 20 or so, something like that. And they all do various different things. Like, we quickly saw it when I was looking at the ammunition vendor, but there was one that had like a flame symbol. That's just a simple flamethrower. You have a blaster rifle and a like rocket launchers and stuff. So you should have enough now. Yeah, whoops. The pyrocitor. While I'm at it, I'll use the rest of my bolts to get more ammunition. The pyrocitor. I was hoping there would be descriptions. The pyrocitor is literally just a flamethrower. Like that. It's quite useful, to be honest. When I was a kid, I kind of stopped using the weapons as, like, the older weapons as the planets progressed, in favour for the new weapons. And that can be true for some stuff, but when you're getting swarmed by a bunch of people, the pyrocitor is pretty good to have. And up here is the second gold bolt of the planet. There it is. So like I was saying with the gold bolts, yeah, there's plenty of weapons throughout the game. And in one of the later missions, actually I think it's 2 areas in the game. I can't remember where the first one. Yeah, so I remember now. It's all coming back to me. There's 2 planets in the game that you can get to like secret areas with, and you can basically use the gold bolts to guide gold versions of the weapons, and it just makes them stronger. They're quite expensive. A lot of the weapons get extremely expensive as time goes on, but none of them are as expensive as, or even match the equivalent to the Rhino. And if you're familiar with the games or the series, in basically every Ratchet game, there is a weapon called the Rhino. It's an abbreviation for Rip Ya a New One. Which I didn't realise when I was a kid was quite a insult. Basically just means that he'll tear him a new rear end, basically. And it's expensive. I believe it costs 1 million bolts, and it's insanely powerful. It's the only one that fires off like a steady stream of rockets, and it can just take out anything, really. Even the final boss is like easy to take down with the Rhino. But again, it's so expensive. You'd have to play the game at least twice, maybe 3 times, to even like afford it. And that's if you're not going for everything else with like all the gadgets and gold weapons, and and you can also upgrade your health you can see at the top there, there's 4 circles. You can upgrade it to be 8 by the end of the game, but that's also expensive. And yeah, let's do what it recommends us to do, which is to look around. You can look down at the palace. So the levels in this game are quite small, but they make up for it by having multiple areas to go around. And while we're at it, we'll buy the infobot. Infobots are how you get to new destinations, new planets. They basically guide you throughout the system, telling you where to go, and like what objectives you can do there. So that's the second planet to go to, Planet Iridia. Like I said, most planets have different... I'm going to turn on the subtitles. Most planets have different routes that you can take. And they'll have different goals, different objectives. Just help you progress through the game. If you ever reach an impasse, if you ever reach a standstill in one planet and you think you've done everything, well, chances are you haven't done everything on a previous planet, so you have to go back. And as the game progresses, a lot of these infobots become either harder to obtain, or you need more money to get them. And this is where the Pyroster comes in handy. And it's still, I said at the beginning, but it's for a game from 2001, it's still quite a nice looking game, to be honest. Like, obviously the textures are a little bit muddy. They could be better, but the art style and the like visual effects of like weapons and stuff, it all holds up pretty well. I do miss this kind of art style, where like tech wasn't so advanced that you could just immediately go for like all the most like best looking things. Like, I quite like that Ratchet looks the way he does. Like, you can definitely tell he's furry, but it's not over the top like the future games. I understand why, because again, the text there, you might as well use it. But sometimes the art style can be put aside for it. And I think that's kind of my gripe with the later games in the franchise, is that it all just feels too samey. Like in this game, you got your different platforming aspects, you got all your different weapons. Like, it was the first of its kind, and then the second games, they kind of bring up a little bit further. They try out new weapons, they try out new gimmicks and mechanics, and most importantly, new stories. Whereas the future games, they kind of just settle on what's already there, and don't really want to make too much of a change. The biggest example I can think of is the villain in the third game, Dr. Nefarious. who was a fan favourite for a lot of people, because a lot of people played the third game and grew up more with him as the main antagonist of that game. But since about 2009, when they made A Crack in Time, Insomniac really, really kept pushing for him to be the main antagonist for the series pushing forward. Like, he would always somehow keep coming back. So much to the point that in the remake of this game, Chairman Jack was the secondary antagonist, and the one behind it all was actually Dr. Nefarious, which I thought was very lazy. I thought it was very uninspired. Like, they already had everything set in motion from the first game in terms of a story, that they could have easily done something with that, but they just decided not to, in favour of bringing back a fan favourite. But that's just me. That's just my gripes with the series. I do very much prefer the originals. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the later games. I do. Every single time I play them, I enjoy what I play, you know, but I don't know if it's just nostalgia talking or if the quality really is there, but the originals I just prefer more. So this is Captain Quark. This is the hero that Clank's on about, wanting to try and save the galaxy. Yeah, considered to be the strongest, or like greatest hero of the galaxy. There's not many. I think it's literally just him, and then later on it's Ratchet and Clank, obviously. And that's a good point that he says. Like I was saying before, one of the big things about this like the early franchise is how like capitalism and consumerism really takes like a big foothold on the galaxy and can like ruin or bring people down. I mean, we saw it with the plumber, where we had to give him 500 bolts so that he can get off the planet in exchange for an infobot. And then there's other things like him saying that Quark was sold out, and it is true, because how do you go from being a galactic hero to doing advertisements for a gadget shop, and like a local one, not even like a big named one, just like a local? It is very odd. So let's head over. Now, normally when I play this game in my growing up, I normally go to a video next, because that's where you get like the swing shot, rather. No, it's not. I lied. Yeah, it's best to go to Metropolis first, because that's where you get all the good stuff, and then you go to a video. Yeah, never mind. I was going to do Metropolis next anyway, but I was trying to think in my head how I tended to play the games when I was younger. But yeah, Metropolis to Iridia is like the fastest route to go. And here we are in the quite the most well-known planet or location of the Ratchet games is Metropolis. It's used here, it's used in the third game, and then it moving forward into the PS3 and later. Metropolis is the main. It's the main sort of area. It's like the capital of the galaxy, of this galaxy at least. And you can definitely tell why. It's quite a bustling location. And even though there are people waiting for us, the city's still moving. It's still going on. Now let's see. There it is, the blaster. Yeah, this is your standard kind of third person shoot the blaster, like an assault rifle. It's quite tame compared to how later weapons look. In fact, all of them are. But you can definitely see where the series goes on. Despite this game having an assault rifle, because of the way the character moves, you can't strafe in this game, you can only go left and right like this. Aiming with the blaster is kind of tough to be able to do. It does have a slight lock on, but nothing too crazy. Alright, let's go speak to this guy. Man, I really like Ratchet's original voice in this game. That's important information to know. But yeah, I love Ratchet's voice in this. In the first game, he sounds really kind of like cocky and like, I don't know how to put it. He just sounds quite cocky and just like still has that kind of charm and personality. He's not like an edgy 2000s protagonist like Jack is from the Jack and Daxter games, but you know, he definitely has his moments in this game at least. Especially later on, he becomes a lot more rough. But ultimately he gets better. Like he does calm himself down quite a bit. And moving on in the games, I think from the third game onwards. Maybe it's the second game. Maybe it's just from the second game, but Ratchet's voice actors are placed by James Arnold Taylor, who is most known for the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Clone Wars. And it's really weird hearing, playing Marvel Rivals and hearing Magneto, because all I hear is just Ratchet. Like, even though he's not doing a Ratchet voice, I still can't help but hear it. Now there's a skill point you can get. There's quite a few skill points in this game that you can get. Skill points are basically just extra challenges in all of the levels. And I think you can get one from beating this course in like under 50 seconds, something like that. $1,000 bolts. I need more. Okay. I forgot. I always forget how much it costs. Maybe I should have bought the blaster later. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We still got a whole rest of the level to do, so I'll do the rest of the planet and then come back, swing by, and get the swing shot. But like I was saying, there's quite a few skill points in this level. Like there's a blimp somewhere around here. There it is. And if you shoot that down, you get a skill point. Same as with this guy, the Captain Cork statue. He's seemingly invincible, but if you can destroy him, if you can take him down, which you can, using a rocket launcher called the Destroyer. Oh, not Devastator, sorry. You can get the skill point. The bomb glove isn't enough to do that. There's a few gold bolts on this planet as well. There was one on the obstacle course. It was kind of glowing in the distance. Oh, quite a bit of slowdown there. Again, because I'm playing this on an emulator. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. Yeah. That guy's meant to be like a big threat, but you can't just easily do that. That's something about this game as well. There's a lot of things that they really improve on in the later games. Obviously the weapons, one thing, but just more quality of life, like being able to kind of flip like this when you're just running about. Like the strafe mechanic, where you can strafe left or right. But also using the weapon wheel, because in this game the weapon wheel, nothing pauses. Like enemies are still able to shoot you and run up to you and stuff. But in the later games you can pause it, which is really handy. Okay, I don't know if I have enough for the upgrade here. This game gets very tough with its bolt usage. You really have to like kind of get as much as you can. Which makes a lot of sense when you consider that the previous game they made was Spyro, and you had moneybacks who kept stealing all your gems so that you could go to like other levels. it was an interesting, it's a very interesting kind of mechanic they had set in stone for that, but it does work, because it gives you incentive to just travel around. Because I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 planets that aren't necessary to go to. But doing this, yeah, like having your progress locked with currency is a pretty smart way to make sure that people are playing the game as intended. But now we got the helipack upgrade for Clank, which basically means that now we have a lot more movement, which I'll show you in just a moment. But the first one, the main thing now, is that we can get an extra height boost by crouching and jumping. That's the wrong one. By doing this. And it is really good. And then you can do a stretch jump like this. I did fuck up. Whoopsies. Pardon the language. It just kind of came out. But you're meant to get a run and jump start like that. And then up here as well. Nothing special. But while I'm at it, I'm going to get a skill point in just a moment. Just to show off, because there's quite a few in this level. And then yeah, with Clank, when you double jump, you can do that. It really does make things a lot better. It's where it kind of starts, it's where the game really opens up as a platformer. And this is one of my favourite levels, like always has been as a kid. It just looks good. It kind of sets the tone for the later missions. And there's also a nice set piece which we'll come up to in quite a bit. And I always thought was fun. But let me finish off this. And then we'll get the skill point. So that big statue down there, which is the one that we saw at Owl's Robo Shack. I kept wanting to say Owl's Toy Barn, but that's from Toy Story. But you can land in between its legs. So let's try and do that now. It does mean we'll have to go back up, but it is what it is. And then yeah, you just earn a skill point. They don't really do anything. They're literally just it's literally just another like collectible thing. And you can't even find them on like your first playthrough. On New Game Plus, was essentially New Game Plus. You get a new menu in the pause screen, which is your challenges or extras, and that's how you find things like cutscenes, concept art, skill points. It's a pretty nice feature, but again, you have to beat the game to unlock it, which isn't too bad, because when you're a kid, you don't really care about playing a game and finishing it and then not playing it again, like most games nowadays. You would just kind of play it like you had fun with it. You just play it whenever you wanted. I mean, you still can with modern games, but I think there's a lot of games are now intended to be experiences that you do maybe once or twice, and then you just don't pick up for quite a long time. And as you can see up there as well, there's another gold bolt. So take that out. We'll get that. to land at the bottom because there's a bunch of those. There's a bunch of robo dogs. And that's our second gold bolt. I will get all of them in this mission, in this level. Because I'm a bit of a completionist. I don't know. Yeah, if I was able to get the all of the skill points in this level, I so would. Like, I 100% would, but I can't, so we just have to make do, I suppose. But luckily here, they got a lot of bolts to collect, because obviously you have quite a bit to collect for when you want to purchase the swing shot. In some ways, you could say that Ratchet Clank is a bit of a Metroidvania as well. I know it's a bit of a stretch to say, but that's why I say in some ways, because you need various upgrades to progress through the levels. Like, you can go to one planet, clear half of it, and then realise, oh, there's something here that I need from a later planet, so I'll do that. And then you go to the other planet, collect the upgrade, and bada bing, bada boom, you're set. Oh, okay, that worried me there for a sec. I didn't think I was on the train. I don't think that's, like, possible, but it can happen. I always liked doing this game with the wrench, or this part of the game, sorry, with the wrench. I liked seeing people fly off, and also it felt kind of badass. Like it was like one of those scenes from a movie where you just kind of, like on a subway train or something, where they just walk up and like take people down with their fists. Like it felt very similar to that. He's too far away. Doesn't matter. But yeah, we got enough bolts now to get the swing shot, which is used throughout the entire game. So let's get the info bot. Oh, poor guy. So that's the fifth planet, I think. At least I'm thinking about the order that I do the planets, and I usually do that like fifth. I remember when I was a kid, I got really stuck on that planet for some reason. I couldn't do the puzzles, because there's like a laser grid puzzle that you had to do, and I was stuck on it for the longest time. Like, I just could not progress any further. and then eventually I did. And then I got stuck on I got stuck on another planet called Blackwater, because there's a sequence where you go through an underwater facility, and like the water level's rising, so if you're too slow you drown. And I was never quick enough as a kid, and I just was stuck on that for ages. Did eventually go around to it, but you know, when you're a kid, all of the small problems seem like they're massive. You know, I guess that's my philosophy point of the day. So let's go clear up this mission then, and then we'll head to Iridia. But before we go get the swing shot, I do want to get that a gold bolt. So we gotta we have to go up to one of these places, and it's not here, it's in there. It's that's where it is. It's in that building. So let's go grab that, and we'll see. And then after that we'll grab the swing shot, grab one more gold bolt, and then we're off. Oh, come on. Yeah, there you go. Nope. Damn. I always like this kind of challenge obstacle course as well. I've always thought it was very cool. Like, it was a good way of teaching you about like various platforming aspects, like the wall jump and all that, which we saw me do on the previous mission. But if you didn't know about it, this is how you find out. So you can collect quite a few bolts, to be honest, as the game goes on, but it's just, you run out of them so much, like so quick, that it's hard to keep them all, like, contained, I guess. But there's the gold bolt, and there's just one more. A few missions. No. I think you have to check in the ship, but I'm fairly certain there's just one more left. That sounds about right. So let's actually grab the swing shot, and then we can clear up this mission. But yeah, there's the entirety of Metropolis. Oh wow, it just takes you back all the way. Fair enough. I thought it would take you to the start of the obstacle course again, but apparently not. Yeah, and a bomb glove isn't enough to destroy the statue, to destroy the robot. So you need the Devastator, which is a really good gun. You get it quite late. Not late, you get it around like the middle part of the game. After like the first main boss. Like the first boss of the game is on a space station, but I would consider this to be the first main boss, because that's where like the story really like kind of picks up, you know. Alright, let's get the swing shot. And there she goes. So the swing shot's pretty cool because you can do this. I always thought that was cool. You get the green ones, which, yeah, you just swing to, and then you get the yellow ones, which you swing across. Pretty simple, but pretty cool. And with this game as well, because weapons and gadgets are two different things, unlike the later games. Alright, let's get this. So there's a little bit of I don't know what you'd call it. There's a little bit of resource management, because eventually you will get this like circle filled up. So you're gonna have to like decide what weapons you want the most and what gadgets you want the most in the moment. And there's the last gold bolt. While I'm at it, because I'm that guy, let me also get a skill point. Is this a skill point, or is this just a farming method? I think that's just a farming method. Never mind. I could have sworn it was a skill point, or I might be getting it mixed up with something else. But I know that you can just stay down here and just farm the ships for bolts, because it's a never-ending loop. It just spawns in multiple ships, and you can just stay there and just farm bolts. It takes ages, but you can do it. I don't see why you would, but because you get more bolts from just playing the game. But hey, to each their own. So we'll do one more mission, which is Iridia, another good level. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, so I've got all 3 gold bolts from this mission. And this one's got 4. Sadly for me, but I suppose lucky for you, I won't be able to get all of the gold bolts in this mission because you need some upgrades from later levels. Like I said, this game can be a bit of a Metroidvania at some points. So I can collect what I can, but other than that, we're just gonna have to wait. But we'll clear up this mission, and then that'll be it for this video. But yeah, you can see there's one there, so we can try and get to that. That one's a bit tricky though. So let's clear up this first area. And here he is. Skid McMarks. Which is took me way too long. That's just a joke about poop stains. And that's another kind of really explains the humour in this game. Also kind of explains my humour, I suppose. Growing up with this kind of stuff, you do eventually get a knack for it. There we go. I always thought this was a fun mission. It's like a little extermination side quest. And yeah, you get something really good out of it. You get a hoverboard, which, not like in Jak 2 or Jak 3, where you can use it just whenever, wherever. It's only used during certain moments, but it's still a fun little gimmick. I'm a big fan of it. taking damage. But that's not that outlandish. This could be a pretty rough area. So I don't think there's any new weapons in this area anyway, so... Let's just clear these guys out as fast as we can. Yeah, the bomb glove starts getting quite useless quite quick. I mean, you saw in the first level and the second level I was able to take out guys just like pretty easy with just one bomb, but now it's taken two. And here's the first gold bolt. This one always eluded me as a kid. I mean, most of them did, but this one always did because I could always see it in that grate, and I was never smart enough to know that the walls could be broken. But now that I'm much older and much wiser. Oh, okay. A bomb it is, I guess. I was going to use the flamethrower, but a bomb works just as well. I always liked the Pyroster's startup sound. Like, the sound design in this game is just good. Insomniac's always been good with just like general aesthetics of their games. But like, things sound mechanical. Like, yeah, the bolts sound shiny and clinky because they can't see, and the weapons sound proper like mechanical, and like, because with the Pyroster and the blaster they do just kind of form. And like the sound effects that it makes does make it sound like they just kind of show up, I suppose. Like they extend themselves. There we go. So yeah, the hoverboard we can't use just whenever we want, sadly. But when we can use them, oh, it's fun. It's a fun minigame. Spent like hours just doing the minigame. But that's that section done. Now this is where we go to next. The construction zone. I always wondered what they were building on here. But the game does look nice, doesn't it? The skybox is quite nice. The views of the stars and the planets. It just has such a good world. I suppose not world building, but just aesthetic as a whole. There we go. Trying to get a decent thumbnail angle, so we can use that. Let's fill up on our ammo. Not bad. So let's go to the next area then. I remember when I was a kid I was trying to do a wrench only challenge of this game, and these guys gave me a lot of trouble. I don't even know why. It's not even like their attacks were hard to avoid. Come on, there we go. Yeah, the lock-on is pretty nice, but sometimes it doesn't really work out how you want. The game definitely has its issues in terms of like movement when fighting, but it's nothing too outlandish. Like, it's not anything that brings the game down. It's still very well controlled. Alright, let's do this now. And there is a skill point you can get in this section, which I will do. God, I remember playing, like, trying to speedrun this section so much as a kid. Like, I was trying to make it so that I couldn't, that like I didn't hit the ground whenever I did these. Which I think was impossible for like a few of them, but I still tried to. Man, it really does bring back memories. There you go. Gotta get as many bolts as I can, of course. It's a very heavy currency related game. This is where you get the skill point. Let's give it a shot. There we go. Yeah, you just have to do the entire, like that entire section just without touching the ground. This is fine. But this is the next gadget that you get. This is one I was telling about earlier, the puzzle section. Some of them are pretty tough, even when you're grown up. But that's basically it. You just have to match them in. Doesn't matter which ones get. Well, it does matter which ones get. There's always one solution, so it doesn't matter which ones match up with what, but it's about trying to find the method, you know? Come on. Come on. There we go. So that's the next gadget. Which we'll use on the logging planet where they were like cutting all the trees down. I'm probably gonna like look at it later. Look at that puzzle later and be like, oh, wasn't that tough? It's always the way. But let's finish this up. I actually don't really remember what you get from this section. Like, I know there's I think you find Skid McMarks' agent. And then you can get something from him. But I can't remember what you have to do. You have to do something. Oh, you have to win. You have to win the prize at the Blackwater City hoverboard race, and then you come back and he gives you another gadget. It's kind of useless, but it's pretty cool, I guess. Like that you can just do that. Like it's cool that the developers intended for you to kind of have a back and forth system with the planets. Very well designed game. So yeah, there's so here we are at the top. So yeah, I was right. You have to hold, my mouse is showing, but you have to yeah. So when you win the prize, you come back and then you get this little gadget that basically summons these little things, and they're like companions that shoot things for you. Actually, it's pretty handy, but you don't really use them that much. Alright, let's try and get this gold bolt. It's been a while. Okay, easy, easy peasy. But it's just along here. There we go. And with that, that's the entire planet done. Well, actually, no, that's how I lie. Because you can go, the final gold bolt is up on that system there, up in that little part with the artillery cannon. But you need some magnet boots from one of the later missions, so we won't be able to get that, I'm afraid. So now, let's just make our way back to the ship. There we go. Let's hop inside. Right, well that was a good few planets of a nice childhood game. And like I said, or I think I said it at the start, but this will be a series in which I play like childhood games that I really grew up with, like the PS2 and GameCube and such. So chances are the next time I do this video on this, it will be on the second game, and then the third. And I've got quite a few ideas for what I want to play, but for now, Ratchet Clank and Sly Cooper are the two main ones that I'm definitely doing a focus on. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the content, and I hope it put you at ease. And now that you're relaxed, nice, laid down to rest, hopefully, I hope that you can have a nice sleep, and that the gameplay didn't put you off too much. But on that note, good night.